Hi there, it's Ryan G. Wright with DoHardMoney.com. I am coming to you in front of our very popular awards. We won the Inc. 5000 award for our company, 1800 here, and the Inc. 5000. So we walk by these every single morning as we come into the office because we are so freaking proud of them. But I'm answering a question of the day, and today's question is, what is the difference between a BPO and an appraisal, okay? Every single day I answer a question of the day. So if you have a question of the day you'd like me to answer, I would be honored to. Please type it in the comments below. If you type that question in the comments below, I'll answer that question of the day. And who knows, maybe we'll even send you out a killer shirt or something. I don't know, we'll see. Broker's price opinion. What is a broker's price opinion? What is an appraisal? Let's talk about this. A broker's price opinion, or BPO, is basically where an agent or a real estate broker is making a determination as to what they think the home will sell for. This is typically used in what are called REOs, real estate owned. This is when a bank actually forecloses and takes back a property. So usually what happens is if a borrower gets into trouble, a bank is going to order what's called an external BPO. And that basically means they're going to have somebody drive by the property, they are going to pull some comps, and they're going to make a determination as to what they think the property is worth. That's what they're going to be doing, okay? Then what happens is when they foreclose and take the property back, then what they're going to be doing is still be doing a interior BPO. That's where they actually have somebody go inside the property, then they make the determination. They can do that once the people have moved out of the property or they've been evicted, is basically what happens. Now, here's the downside to a broker's price opinion. What has happened is agents have started to delegate that out. And so what they're doing is, in some cases, and I've found probably in the majority of cases, they're having an assistant, they're having somebody overseas, a virtual assistant, pulling all the comps. And in lots of cases, they're just having a high school kid drive by the property and take some pictures for them. And then that form is getting submitted. You see, what's happened is, for agents, they have found they have to do a whole lot of broker price opinions before they end up getting a listing. So it just takes way too much time, and the banks pay way too little, so they typically just say, hey, you know what, I'm just gonna do these in masses. We'll do hundreds of BPOs because I'm gonna have my virtual assistant pull the comps. I'm gonna have some high school kid at $8 an hour go drive by. We'll do as many as you want to of these, and we end up with a listing. Great. So one of the problems that happens is the reliability of what's called a broker's price opinion typically is very low. Now, let's compare that to an appraisal. An appraisal is not an agent. An appraiser is a licensed appraiser who has gone through and has studied, and what they're looking for is the holistic approach on the property. So there's different approaches appraisal can take. They can take a cost approach, they can take a comparable approach, and they can take an income approach. Those are the three approaches that they can take when they're actually doing an appraisal. And so they can do that appraisal based upon the as-is value or the after-repaired value. If they're doing it based upon the after-repaired value, they need a full contractor's bid, and they also get paid a lot more because they'll do an as-is and an ARV. It's a whole conversation, maybe one you would have a question on. Put it in the comments and we'll answer it one of these days. But basically, the appraiser is independent. So when you go get a loan from the bank, the appraisal is part of a database, and it's random selection. A bunch of appraisals come up, it assigns it to this appraisal. The bank can have an appraisal list or an appraisal management company that actually makes sure those appraisals are going to the right place. And then that appraisal goes out there independent, and that appraiser goes and says, this is what I think the property's worth. Now, in most traditional real estate, like what we're doing with fix and flips, investing, single family stuff, it's always based upon the comparable approach. And what that means is they're looking and saying, what are the comparables that are out there? I'm looking at those comparables, and then I'm finding properties that are like the property that we have, and then based upon that, I'll make any adjustments if necessary. Maybe this has 5 beds and ours has 4 bedrooms, so I adjust it down. Maybe this comparable has a 2-car garage, so maybe I adjust the price up. So we're looking at those types of things and making adjustments, and then they come up with an appraisal. Now, the appraisal is basically a bunch of paperwork where they justify why they come up with the value that they came up with, and that's basically what it is. Now, let's talk about costs. Usually when we're dealing with a BPO, it's like $50. When you're dealing with appraisal, it's typically $500 to $700. So there's a lot more work that goes into that, a lot more thought process that goes into that. The idea is it's as independent independent as possible. So some of the pros and cons you're dealing with the BPO are that it could be outsourced. It could be an agent that doesn't really, is doing it in mass, doesn't really matter. When you're dealing with an appraisal, you're dealing more with a professional. You're dealing with somebody that's getting paid quite a bit higher dollar amount to do more work and looking at the property. And appraisal is also going to measure the property. So the question is when do you need a BPO? I think that you don't really ever want to have a BPO. Now, there's a thing called an evaluation that's separate, and there's going to be an opportunity where that can be very reliable. The idea with the evaluation is where you have an agent who's actually doing the work themselves, going to the property themselves, that's reliable, that's getting paid a decent amount of money to do that, and they actually can give you a pretty good idea or sense of the marketplace, and that can be really, really helpful. So, be careful when it comes to those BPOs. Appraisals tend to be way too expensive. That's the downside of the appraisal, and they take too long. BPOs tend to be unreliable, and so there's this sweet spot that's called an evaluation, and that takes some time to develop relationships where you've got an agent who has the relationships, who has the knowledge, who can do it fast that you haven't experienced with, and those are somewhere in the middle here. So I hope this is really helpful for you. The one thing I've got to say though is values are fluid. They're not stagnant, and what I mean by that is what you think the property may be worth today is not going to be what it's worth tomorrow. Because when we use that comparable approach, we're saying what has sold, and based upon what is sold, what are we predicting this house will sell for? Or what are we predicting this house is worth? Well, if interest rates went up today, prices would probably go down. If interest rate went down today, prices would probably go up. There would be a supply and demand factor. Also, if price of construction goes up, you may see house prices, existing house prices go up. So the idea is that this is always a moving part, and it's never going to be exact. What we're trying to do is get an idea in the realm of possibility. I hope this is really helpful. If you'd like to see some other videos that I've done, well, first off, if this was helpful, please give me a thumbs up. Smash that thumbs up button. It's really a big help to us. I really appreciate getting the feedback from you that you like this video. Also, if you want to have the question of the day, please type it in the comments below and we'll answer that on as a question of the day. I've got a couple other videos I think you'll really like. One of them is what hurts a home appraisal. You can click on that. It's what hurts a home appraisal. And I've got another video that's how accurate are AVMs, automatic value management, AVMs. Click on that as well and you can take a look. Appreciate you being with me today. Make it a very profitable day, and bye for now.